Hey everyone, it's Maydad here from YNV Health and Wellness. And tonight, once again, I'm joined with another special guest, a health and wellness coach that we interview every Monday night, every week. Before I share with you about our amazing coach that I'm interviewing today and our special guest, I want to ask you what you guys have been up to over the past few days because I don't know about you, but I've been making the most of this great weather. I've been getting swims and getting time, blocking time out for myself to go out to Nelson's Bay, to Parsley Bay, and to Can Cove. These are the three areas that I love to go swimming, and anytime I get some downtime where I can block time to just enjoy myself or go for a quick dip. I love to do that. But how good's the weather been? And it's just been amazing, and I've really been enjoying this great weather. But before I go on, I just wanted to introduce our facilitator today, our special guest, Kate Madigan, who is a Reiki and breath coach, master teacher. She's also embodiment facilitator. She works with everybody. She's got a world of experience and she's had such an incredible journey. Welcome to tonight's show, Kate. How are you doing? And it's been a while since we spoke, and it's really great to see you here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's been so cool. If you guys don't know, watching this back, Kate is one of my members at my Bondi boxing gym, and she's a great friend, and we've gotten to know each other really well. And I really admire her for the great work that she does in the community with everybody. Kate, if we could start off, you could share with some of the audience or people watching this back a little bit about your journey, because it's been quite extraordinary, hasn't it?
Yes, so I have had quite the journey. Everything that I share and offer, my teachings now are all things that I have done in within my own journey, which is why I wanted to then learn and study. So yeah, my journey has been to get to this point of life and being able to facilitate all of these spaces. I really began from feeling just really not, I always felt not enough. That was like a really big thing. I felt not enough. And then I felt really disconnected. I felt really numb. I've come from a place of just being on the complete opposite side of where I am today.
A bit
And
like all of us, right?
hey, yeah, yeah. So many people like feel these pieces, which is why this work is so important. Um, and yeah, so I had all of this, and then I also experienced some significant trauma when I was younger. And so through that, that sent me right down to rock bottom. Like I was just spiraling really, really hit the absolute rock bottom. And at the time, I just was so desperate. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't really know much about energy work or kinesiology or anything like that. And my friend was studying kinesiology, and she was like, "Do you want to be a guinea pig of mine? I'll just like try a few things out." And so I was like, "Yeah, sure." And that was the beginning of my healing journey. So I received kinesiology, I received Reiki, I received breathwork, I did embodiment. Um, I did all of these things that I received first, and then I went in to decide to study them and offer them to other people.
What a great way to look at things. I think a lot of us coaches really relate everything we're doing and everything we're sharing with others,
Mm,
our past into our own journeys. And I think that is the great thing about this work, whether it's behavioral science, whether it's breath work, um, whether it's a more deep-rooted issue, we're all relating it to something that we've experienced and we've learned the hard way. And that's why it's so great about this work that we all do. I know that you're a kinesiologist master facilitator. Can you share a little bit about kinesiology for anybody out there who doesn't know what that practice is?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So kinesiology is really bringing the body into alignment. So we're working with the body, mind, and soul, and we use muscle testing, which is a biofeedback system. So we're speaking to the body's innate intelligence, and then the body is guiding us and telling us where there is stress or trauma or energy blockages, anywhere that's not out of alignment. The body will guide us. And what that really, like muscle testing, what that really is we're using muscles to ask the body where there's stress. So an example would be, if you get bad news, and when you get bad news, you go weak at the knees because there's stress in the body. And it's exactly the same thing. So as a kinesiologist, we're using the muscles and we're asking the body questions, and the body will say, yes, there is stress, dig deeper, or no, there is not, you can move on. And so we do that, and we do that to work with the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind. We can work with ancestral trauma, lineage, activating gifts. We can work with past lives. We can work with childhood stuff, future stuff. It's like really, you can really go anywhere with kinesiology. And all the work that I do, I always integrate every modality. Like if you come to me for kinesiology, you're probably going to get a mix of, the other modalities as well. I never really just do one thing. I sort of just pull everything together for whatever the person needs. But that's kinesiology.
And that's what makes it so personal and the work that you do so unique, isn't it, Kate?
Yeah.
Now, I love the study of biofeedback. I remember when I first got diagnosed with anemia and my autoimmune. If those of you don't know, I have uh, a fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. And over the years, I've learned to work everything around my baseline and not steer away from it. And anytime I found myself steering away from it, I've trained myself to come back to my baseline and be able to get on with my day and live a healthy life. But when I was first diagnosed with uh, these conditions, I went to see somebody who, a master teacher in Feldenkrais, who did a lot of biofeedback with me. And I'm fascinated with the biofeedback work and the things that she did with me. And just when you were speaking today, just a moment ago about biofeedback, I was just revisiting those moments. So amazing, amazing, to be able to do that and connect with that. But I also know that you're what do you call it, a Reiki facilitator and a master teacher. Can you share with some of our audience a little bit of some of the work that you do with Reiki?
Yes, so Reiki is an energetic healing practice. It's a Japanese energetic healing practice, and it's a universal energy that is really you are the practitioner is the vessel to call this energy through and pass it through to the client. And Reiki is an intelligence of its own. And so it works with the body, with wherever the body needs alignment, healing. And again, Reiki can work with emotional blockages, energetic blockages. We work with the chakra system. You can get into ancestral stuff with Reiki as well. And so the difference really is, so some clients will say, do I need kinesiology or do I need Reiki? What do I do? And really both are amazing and they complement each other. But often I will say, if someone they know they've got limiting beliefs, they know that they've got unconscious things running through, sabotage patterns, things that maybe they want to have greater awareness around, kinesiology is amazing for that. Whereas if you just feel like you're you feel a bit stagnant, a bit icky, you feel like maybe you need a bit of a tune-up or like a clearing of your aura or your energy, just a bit of clarity, Reiki, can do that. And Reiki is generally, not always, a little bit more relaxing because you get the eye mask and you get it's just a really nourishing, receiving session. In saying that, it can be quite emotional as well. It depends on what's coming up for the person.
That's I've had Reiki done a couple of times when I was living in New Zealand, back in the North Island in Rotorua, where I had my own gym, and it is a very beautiful practice because you are just so relaxed and you're receiving all this loving, positive, warm energy. And I think it's almost hard to describe it unless you have it, But I recommend it to anybody. Kate, I also know that you're a breathwork master practitioner, can you share with people today? I know why breath work is so important and why it is important to learn to breathe properly in that, but could you give them your rundown on what you do with your breath work sessions and the importance of breathing properly, as most people in our community, in human beings, don't really breathe properly at all.
Yeah, so breath work is really great because we have all our emotions and memories and experiences get trapped in our body, in our fascia. And so when we breathe, we somatically go into the body, and the body can release these emotions and these experiences and these traumas without needing to know the story. You know, so much we try and get attached to the story of like why we're feeling a certain way and why this happened. And while that is good, sometimes the body just wants to release. The body is so intelligent. So when we go into breath work, we can go into altered states and just let the body breathe itself and somatically move through. And breath work allows us to feel the emotion, to feel the rage. You know, something I do is I take people through sacred rage breath works, because rage and anger is something that is completely suppressed, especially for women. You know, there's so much suppression around that, and it's like wrong to be angry, or it's like, you know, don't be angry. Like, you know, all of these stories that we're brought up with. So something that I do is take people through these sacred rage practices where we just let rip and just rage, but that comes from that primal part of the body, and the breath work allows the person to get to that spot. But in saying that, it's not always you know, all these emotions like rage and grief. We can also access our gifts and like pleasure and joy and bliss. We can go into these euphoric states as well, because we're opening up the body to clear and purify our vessel so that we have more access to the true self and the true feelings and connection that we have with the divine, with ourselves. So yeah, yeah.
Amazing stuff. Um, Kate, can you tell us a little bit about your background growing up, where you grew up, and your journey before you took on this role? I mean, I know you've shared that you've had some of your own things to deal with before you got into this line of work, and uh, I know you run a lot of workshops and master classes that we'll get into a little later on in this uh, Zoom session tonight. But if you could share a little bit about your background and with some of our audience today.
Yeah, so I grew up in Melbourne, and my I grew up in like a normal family, but I always just felt like I was different. I remember when I was younger, I believed in magic and I would do spells, and I got teased I would have been maybe 8 or 9 years old, and I was being teased for being like believing in magic, being different. And so that really had an effect on me, and I shut everything down. Like I shut down all my gifts, everything. And then I went into, um, as a teenager, my everything just shifted, and I turned into a real, just, I was really wild, rebellious. Um, I was a bit crazy, and but really, I was just feeling so much pain. I felt so different. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. It was like it felt really painful as a teenager to I'm sure it does for many, many teenagers, but yeah, I just felt like I was in so much pain. And yeah, then I had this experience, this traumatic experience in my life that just took everything um, downwards. And I used a lot of alcohol and drugs to suppress and numb and escape. And that was my identity, like partying, being the party girl, like that was my identity. And I really struggled to let that go for a long time. So when I got on my healing journey, I began, starting to heal, but like it actually took me a long time because I wasn't willing to let go of my identity, because that was all I knew myself to be. That was my environment, my friends, who I was. And so for me, my healing journey took a really long time, the first 10 years, because I had my foot over here, but then I wouldn't let go of my old life. And then when I turned 30, I got sober. And that was another massive rock bottom, like taking away all the numbing, escaping tools to be left to feel everything that I was feeling and getting sober as well. Like I left my, like, it's my friends, my environment, everything of who I was. I had to leave all of that behind. And I felt like I was sort of left with nothing. And I just had to feel everything that I was feeling. But within that space, then my healing just accelerated so fast and so hard, like because like I didn't, I felt I was empty. I only had to find myself again. But the true part of me without all of these other identities and pieces that were holding me back. And then that's when I just accelerated really fast. And then that's when I went into studying all of these pieces. Um, yeah, that's really, and there's been lots of other little pieces along the way. Like I've had so many deaths and rebirths, and I've had so many rock bottoms. But every time something like that happens, I have so much expansion. And I know that, the life that I've had and all that's happened is why I'm so strong today. Like I know that that is why I wouldn't be who I am today if, that hadn't have been my experience. And it's really helpful because when clients come in and they go, "Oh, but you've got your shit together," like I could never, be, as confident or know myself as you do. But it's like, I know that you can because I've done that myself. So I feel like my journey's actually been my like it's my greatest wisdom, it's my greatest teacher, and it's still going. I'm still learning
Doesn't
about
stop, does it? It doesn't
every day. Yeah,
every
it doesn't
day.
stop.
And I love the fact that you spoke about the rebirth and death. If you can just, you don't have to explain what happened, but if you can share with some of our audience exactly what you assign to what death is and what rebirth is, because all of us assign it differently. Could you share with our audience some of that, what your philosophy on that is?
Yeah, so for me, I feel like the deaths and the rebirths, some of them are really massive and some of them are not as big, but it's like an ego death. It's like an identity death, an ego death, a part of ourselves that is no longer serving and we have to let it go. And sometimes it's really painful. Sometimes that part of us has served us and it's been who we are and it's our identity. Um, I have, this might sound a bit morbid, but I've done funerals for the parts of myself that I've deathed. And I also tell clients to do this as well because it's like a ceremony. It's like thank you to this part of me that you are not
Celebration.
having me. It's a celebration and an acknowledging and an honoring. And then we let that path go. So then part of us goes so we can then rebirth and step into this new chapter. But really, I see it as like an ego death or like, yeah, just a part of us that is not no longer serving, a part of us that's holding us back.
It's
And
really interesting when you share that, Kate, because as we sit here sharing our experiences and that, and yours especially, I'm reflecting on my childhood growing up and breakdancing at school. And I love breakdancing. I mean, there was moments in the class where the teacher would walk out and everybody would remove the chairs and I would just breakdance. And the only time you knew that the teacher would walk back is when everything went silent. And I knew the teacher was back already in the room and I'd get up and look. And before you know it, everybody had to put their chairs back and I was out at the principal's office. But that was a part of my life that I really loved and I really identified myself with as a 15-year-old growing up. And then when I let that go, I didn't ever really let it go, even though I don't do it anymore. Every time I see breakdancing, every time I hear the music or see that part, any part of that culture, it brings me back to those moments. And I'm just as much in love with it now as I ever was, but I haven't identified myself with it because I've taken on a more important role. I moved on to surfing, for example. And even though I wasn't such a great surfer, I love the ocean. I love going down the beach with my friends, sitting out the back, waiting for waves, catching waves, and having an amazing time, surfing here in Bondi or going away sometimes to, down south. Um, but that as well came to a death, and I moved into the a more important role where I was doing an apprenticeship in that. So, we talk about celebrating moments and things that have been really a big part of our life. And I think for me, when I look back at all those moments, or if I sit up on the hill and I'm watching surfing, I'm always connected with it. But I've kind of moved on, and I'm so grateful that I've moved on to doing something that is serving its purpose. Not so much just financially, but spiritually, that I'm enjoying it just as much as I've enjoyed the other things in my life. And I guess that's like you said, Kate, we just never stop evolving, do we?
Never. It's it's ongoing. I feel like there's new lessons every day, every week. Yeah.
You tapped on something in regards to young people almost not knowing, going through this wild cycle. And I think, and if I can just share my view on it, from the age of about 16, 17, 18, 19, especially that 16, 17 period. The reason being I refer to that is because I've really done a lot of reading and research on the three stages of human growth. And that stage especially, because that's a stage from 13 to 21 where young people find their own identity. They have a choice of whether they want to align with what their parents and elders or people that have been superior to them, um, that they've looked up to through all their childhood, whether it is religion, whether it is a personal preferences, whether it is politics, whether it is food they eat or the way they live. This is a time in their life where young people are able to make their own choices and are starting to identify with their own personal needs. And at times, and I know my son now is about to leave high school because he's doing his HSC, he still doesn't know what he wants to do. And that really is a struggle for young people, especially, with society. Pressuring them to know what they want to do, to have a career behind them, etc. Like the interesting thing is, I'm 55 years young, and up to now, I've changed three or four trades, and I feel more embodied, more empowered doing what I'm doing now than I ever was when I left high school and became a pastry chef because I wanted to leave high school and get a job and show my dad that I'm capable of being employed and not being unemployed. So that's just my view on things, Kate. And I think the three stages of human growth, especially that one, is really a significant one for young people.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's such a potent time, and really we want to be encouraging children and teenagers to really be in their gifts and what lights them up and what is exciting, because that keeps them connected to themselves, even if they don't know what they want to do for the future or for their job, because I didn't have this career until I was 30 either, or actually my early 30s. But it's like if you just allow the child or the teenager to just be in the joy of life and have a strong connection to self and healthy self-esteem, then they're going to make the right choices in life, and they're going to be set up, and it's all going to be fine.
Yeah, that support is so important. I've got a boy and a girl. My daughter's 14 and my son's 16, going on to 17. And it's so important for us, for me and for my wife, to offer that support, whether it be through school, through dance, through sport, or whatever they're doing, through their social network, their friends and all that. It's so important for us to be there and accommodate that and make them feel that support. But Kate, I know that you're also one of the some of the work that you do that you really love doing is you're an embodiment facilitator and you work with a lot of women. You work with some men, but mainly women. Can you share with our audience tonight a little bit about the work that you do as an embodiment facilitator?
Yeah, so embodiment really means coming into your body. And so many of us are disconnected from our bodies. And we, as a society, we're taught to use our mind, use our brain, everything's out of our body. And the mind and the brain is obviously important. We need that, but we also need that in connection and alignment with our body. And so embodiment work really is about supporting people in coming back into their body to be able to feel their emotions, to be able to feel themselves, I do a lot of work with women and with womb work and sensuality as well. Like, a lot of women are disconnected from that, which means they're disconnected from their power, because that's where a woman's power, is connected to that sensuality, to that womb wisdom. And so a lot of the embodiment work is bringing women back into their bodies, into that sensuality, into their power centers, and yeah, really owning themselves as a whole. And it's like so many women, I don't know so much about men, but women in particular can feel like they're broken or like there's something missing. And it's like there's never anything broken or something missing, but we're so disconnected. Like living up here, it's like that this is our body is like part of us. It's who we are. And so when we come back in, that's when we start to feel whole, because we're connected and we're aligned. And so embodiment work really is bringing people back inside their bodies to feel, to connect. It's our desires are in our bodies, our emotions are in our bodies. We can't think our way out of emotions. We have to feel our way, which means we have to be in our body. So embodiment work is there's a range of different things that you can do, but it's really just bringing people back in.
It's so powerful. It's recent years I've been really enjoying the study of energy magnetic fields, and in relations to what you shared with us and talked about, embodying our energies, embodying our inner being, um, and when we are radiating at a negative frequency or a weak frequency, we're not able to, it is usually because we're not embodying the moment, not embodying the ourselves the way we should. It has a lot to do with that. And sometimes when athletes go out and perform amazingly, they have a stellar performance, whether it is a running race, whether it is a swimming race, uh, or performers on stage, etc. They're looking for that certain ingredient that they had every time they go out. And what I don't realize is that their energy frequencies are firing on all cylinders when they are giving those stellar performances. And that's something that we all should strive to. And I know in my own private world, in my own, it's going to sound a little bit weird, but I use a lot of anchors throughout my day to allow me to keep those frequencies and keep all those any blockages out, or interferences, I should say, out throughout the day. And whether it is getting some grounding, whether it is meditating, whether it is doing some breath work, which I do every day, several times a day, which whether it is gargling or humming, or doing some different exercises to reset my vagus nerve and override my central nervous system. These are all tools to help me, and all anchors to help me get into my flow state before I take any task that I'm doing. I think that those have been so beneficial for me, Kate.
Definitely. Definitely. It's like we have all of these tools with us all of the time. And this is something that I share and teach. It's so easy. We always have our breath. We always have our sound. We always have movement and touch. And these are things that can help soothe our nervous system, that can help us come back into our body, come out of our head, and they're with us all the time. So it's like it's just remembering to bring these tools in, because it's easy to forget when they're not in your everyday practice. But something that I did many years ago, and I do share with clients, is to put these things on your phone and set an alarm that says, you know, how are you breathing? And have these alarms go off, like drop into your body, ground. And so you've got these alarms going off throughout the day. And then eventually you don't need the alarms anymore. It just becomes ingrained, because
It's
it
second
can,
nature.
yeah, because it can be tricky. Like for someone that lives in their head all the time or is anxious all the time, they don't it's harder to remember the tools that we have with us all the time. So these little pieces are actually really helpful, or even post-it notes, sticking post-it notes, breathe, embodiment, as just little reminders.
And it's so many tools that we have, but until we become mindful and really practice mindfulness. The other day I was sitting at the park watching my son at his soccer training, and there was a couple of gentlemen that were about to do head out to uh, a Wollongong for a Buddhist workshop that was on mindfulness. And I listened to them speak and they shared their ideas and what it was all about with me. And the word mindful embodies so many things that we here as human beings living in um, modern society have almost lost the grasp of it. And it's important to understand that when someone talks about taking on a new spiritual journey and doing all this work on themselves, it's not just about ice baths, having an ice bath, or going to do some meditation or working on your breath work. It's not just about getting some quality sleep and exercise. Now, all these things that I'm sharing with you, including journaling, etc., is all important and they're all valuable to your growth and to your well-being, and they're vital for what we are talking about, what Kate and I are sharing with you. But what is really important is the embodiment of your internal dialogue, your internal being, your internal makeup, which makes up what and who you really are. Because really, when we talk about modalities and your internal representation, we're all made up of these internal building blocks that really govern the way we think, the way we feel, the way we react to certain situations that confront us on a daily basis. And until we work on that, doesn't matter how much quality sleep we have, how many ice baths we have, how many massages we have, how many times we exercise in that, the root of the problem, that internal being that we haven't embodied has not been cleared. And I think it's so powerful with the work that people like Kate do and talk about, because it's not just about teaching you to breathe and teaching you to meditate and teaching you to live a healthier and a more positive lifestyle. It's beyond that. Wouldn't you agree, Kate?
Yeah, definitely. It's like we can tick all the boxes, or which kind of can be out here ticking the boxes, or we embody it. But that's why things like kinesiology is really powerful. So I'll share a story about me with an ice bath because and how kinesiology helped me move through that. I was really terrified of ice baths. I did one once and it felt like just knives sticking into me. And it was horrific. Like it felt like I was just being traumatized. And it was actually giving me some flashback memories of past things. And anyway, I had some kinesiology and I had some emotional healing around it. And what was actually stuck in my body was the emotion terror from an experience. So when I was getting in the ice bath, because it was shocking my system so much, the terror that was in my body was being activated. But I didn't know that until we went into the body and asked my body what is going on, what is being held. And so did a clearing on that, released the emotion, and then I got into the ice bath and I stayed in for like 4 minutes. And like it was cold, but it was significantly different to the previous time. So it's like even things like if you feel resistance or if you feel like you can't do something, there's also clearing that can be done. And we can have ancestral stuff too. We carry stuff from our ancestors. So if something has happened to them, we can have this fear or this like we can't embody that in this lifetime and not really know why. So that's why it's really great to actually go into the body and ask the body questions of why can I not embody this? Why can I not step into this like journaling practice? Why do I keep resisting this? And just finding out actually what's behind that, clearing the channel so that then you are open and then you can step in.
That's so important. It's so welcoming and it's so yes, you are vulnerable, but you are vulnerable to all the possibilities of growth, evolvement, and living happier and healthier. And why wouldn't you want that? And I motivate any of my clients or anybody else that is stepping into this circle of self-growth and wanting to better themselves and become, living a more, positively healthier lifestyle to just accept vulnerability, accept, you know, been uncomfortable. I know that for 2 weeks I didn't have an ice bath, and it was for a particular reason. I had so much on with my kids' soccer and my daughter's dance, and some things here with my dad. He's been diagnosed with cancer, and he had his first cancer operation 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, it left him feeling very uncomfortable, and for 5 days, he was urinating blood and that, and it was really difficult for him. So I hadn't been able to make time for myself to go to an ice bath. And I went on the weekend and I sat in the ice bath. And as I sat there, I felt my toes really hurting. I felt pain that I never felt before. And it took me to a part of myself where I felt a little anxious, a little pressured. I don't even know what the word is, but I felt a little uncomfortable. I felt like I almost wanted to get out. And at that particular moment when I was sitting in the ice bath, because I ended up staying there for about 11 minutes, I sat there and it was only 4 degrees. It was 4 degrees and it was pretty cold, but I'm used to staying there for a long time. But I went into my breath work. I started entertaining my internal dialogue. So I was anchoring off a prayer. I was anchoring off my goal setting that I was reading out to myself through my mind. And before you know it, 10 minutes was up and I got out. I felt fine. And I realized that obviously I hadn't been there for 2 weeks, and I jumped in and it was really cold. And by the 5 minute mark, my toes were really feeling it. So I think, like I shared before, I think anchoring really works for me. It allows me to get into a state that I need to be able to facilitate whatever is going on at that particular moment. But Kate, you do so much. I know you do your all that you've shared with us. You do so many things. You've got a lot of workshops and that coming up, which we'll ask you about in a minute. But can you share with us, some of our audience, what it is that you really love about the work that you do?
Yeah. So there is so much I love about the work that I do. Like my work literally just lights me up. I love that I get to be in these spaces with people who just watching a transformation happen, and sometimes it happens right before my eyes. It's like someone will come in and I can see it in their face, and then once they leave it's like they're brighter, like they actually look different and they feel different. um and I love that, people will do the healing on themselves, but it ripples out to their kids, and their kids will shift and their partners will shift. And so it's like this work is so powerful. It's like a ripple effect for families and communities and like the whole collective. But what I really love is, so I work with women a lot and I work with sensuality and embodiment, and seeing a woman come into her body and feel like she feels comfortable and safe and is owning herself and owning the parts of her that she has once shamed or rejected. Like that is seeing that, watching that is just incredible. It's amazing. Like it's it's just like it's just magical.
I'm learning to be mindful and listen to people speak, and as people speak now, I'm trying to visualize things and kind of relate my experiences and uh, thoughts about it. And we talk about this powerful transformation. If I could just share, my daughter's 14 years old. She's been dancing for a few years now, and as a person, she's really shy. She doesn't talk too much, but on stage performance just light up, and she becomes a completely different person. It's almost like when I see that person on stage, it's almost like I want to see that person every day, every minute, every day. And I realize that everybody evolves, develops, and grows in their own unique time. And I see that beauty in her, and I see that evolvement and that flower blossoming on stage. And yeah, it is really powerful to see a young child, and not just anybody, like a young child, anybody, as you say, be able to blossom in that particular moment. And you can see that. And the great thing is, as you said, it doesn't just affect their ability to perform wherever they are. It affects every areas of their life. And in doing so, as you said, it's a ripple effect through families, through communities, through cousins. And this work is bettering the world through people doing work on themselves.
Definitely. It's also really, and a really important piece of this is the cycle breaker. Like people are cycle breakers, meaning when if I do the work on myself, I am breaking the cycles of the ancestry and the lineage that, because we get these belief patterns and stories passed down to us. The cycle breaker who is doing the work does not pass this down to their children. So we're actually breaking like cycles that have been going for time and time and time and time. And
That's
so then we're
important.
bringing in children that are just fresh and they're not carrying all these stories, and then they bring in children and they bring in children, and then so then the future of um humanity is also like there's a real shift happening.
There's so much love out there, isn't there, with all this energy going around. And I share this because I'm married to an African American woman, so a dark woman. And I think one of the misconceptions that society has today is when we talk about ancestral behavior that has been passed down, and it's systemic behavior prior to birth, generations prior to birth, and the ability to understand that and the ability to empower our kids. And as a father who has a daughter and a son that has really been motivated to study behavioral science and do all the work that I'm doing, not just for my own growth and not just for my own wellness and quality of life, but for theirs. And I think they see the work that I'm doing, and I think it reflects in some of the things that they do and the way they carry themselves. Only last night when I went to pick up my son from work, because he works at a Greek kitchen Zeus franchise here in Randwick, and as I was sitting outside, a couple of policemen come in to the shop, and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I know it's about 9:30, but can I get an order? We haven't had a chance to eat. We've been out on the road working and stuff like that." And my son turned around to them and said to them, "No, sure, it's great to have you here. I know you guys do such a great job to the community, and it's only a pleasure to serve you in that." And I watched him as served them and they made their food, and he kept talking to them about the long hours they do and some of the things that they have to deal with as police officers here in the eastern suburbs. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm not doing too bad. And I think that is where the real reward comes, and it allows me to be proud from because they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but I think I think I'm doing okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Kate, I know you've got so many things going on, and we could go on and talk about this, and I'd love to interview you another time further down the track. I'm sure we've got so much to talk about and revisit some of the things we've spoken about. But can you share with some of our audience some of the workshops or upcoming events that you uh, are working on?
yeah. So I've got an event happening, one in May, one in June. These will be for women, and it will be breathwork, embodiment, and sensuality. Maybe some energy work as well. I'm still finalizing and landing everything, but these events that I do have done in the past, they're like amazing. They're so good. They are just they'll really help women get into their bodies, feeling safe, feeling comfortable, and actually really enjoying being in their body as well. Um, so I've got events May and June, which I haven't actually officially launched yet. So those will be on my Instagram. I'm also doing free community calls, which will be once a month. And these are going to be clearings, activations. I'm just going to feel into the field of people who are there. And we will do a range of different things. So I also do neurosomatic attunement. I do energy, many different energy healings and medicines as well. It'll be kinesiology, it'll be breath work, it'll be Reiki, channeled, working in the other realms. So those will be community calls, which will be based on clearing, activating, and remembering self. So the first one is in 2 Mondays' time. I'm not sure the date. Yeah.
There you have it, everybody. The workshops in May and June with Kate Madigan. If any of these people watching this back want to learn more about how to contact you or some of the work that you do, what is your Instagram handle, your Facebook handle, your website, or how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so Instagram is really the best at the moment. So it's my name. I am Kate Madigan. Uh, Everything goes on Instagram, all my events, all my appointments, everything will go there. My website is also my name, katemadigan.org. I don't always put my events on there just because I don't have time. So you can go on there and find out a little bit, like get a feel for me. But Instagram is where everything goes. I'm very active on there sharing my offerings.
Amazing stuff, Kate. It's so good catching up with you. It's been a pleasure hearing you share your journey and talk about all the great work that you do. Um, Before we head off and conclude tonight's session, I wanted to let you all know about next week's upcoming Zoom, which I'll be interviewing another great friend, Courtney Berger, and we'll be talking about the topic of the barefoot nomad. And I won't share any more than that because he's quite a unique guy, and he's a trainer, he's a lifestyle executive, and I'll let him share with you guys everything that he does with his own practice and the things that he's been doing. He's been doing some pretty amazing things. So we look forward to seeing you next Monday night, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Time. Until then, from Kate and myself, have an amazing evening and have a great week. Cheers, everybody.